Hey writers, so I'm not sure how much of that video you got, but I'm inside now and I want to talk to you about what to do when you don't want to write. It's Nano, from my time, it is noon on November 1st and I haven't started. Now, that being said, I did finish the last minute edits on my novel and sent them out to Emma Bennett, aka Laura, who edits it for me. There was a whole scene that she felt I needed, and I just kind of whipped that out over, 3 weeks. To be truth, I haven't been wanting to write. I haven't wanting to do much of anything. I haven't been wanting to do editing. I have done one interview for my podcast. I have been feeling very lackluster, and I'm not liking the way that feels. I don't like the way that feels. I don't know if you felt that way, but I don't like it. So I'm going to kick myself out of it, and this is how I'm going to do it. And this is not a goal-setting video. So if you set up here to try and set some goals and do some like hardcore goal setting, that's not what this is about. I'm not about winning NaNoWriMo. So Amy of Amy TV posted recently, and I did a bit kind of a deep dive on some of her older videos, but she was talking about being authentic and being her authentic self, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to link to that video. She doesn't need me to promote her. She's a much bigger channel than me, but she's just fantastic. And if you want some goal setting and that sort of thing, she's your gal. She's fantastic. But that's not what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to talk to you about what she was mentioning, which is, feeling like you can't post on your own YouTube channel. Like, this is my YouTube channel. Look, the reason I'm here is because I want to find my community. I want to find people like me who want to tell unique, original stories. And by unique and original, that doesn't mean it can't be like a fantasy retelling or a fairy tale retelling or anything like that. I love that stuff. I love me some retellings. But what I love most about the retellings is when they are telling something new. A lot of these classic stories that we love, that are the most famous stories of all time, are very European in base. They're very one-dimensional when it comes to characters. And a lot of them have very problematic past. Charles Perrault, for example, who stole, allegedly, you can see I love this book, these fairy tales from his maid, I think. He stole them. He wrote them in such a way to be a warning for women to behave a certain way, and that's very problematic. So I love a retelling of these where we reclaim them as women, or we look at a little more diversity in our storytelling. I love that. So I'm not saying that at all. So don't hate me in the comments, if you're, writing fan fiction. What I want is something that's authentic and something that gives a voice to people that don't necessarily have a voice. As a member of the LGBTQIA community, my friend says I always leave myself off. There is an A. Plus, neurologically divergent community, or of the female community, there are lots of stories where I don't see myself, and I want to see myself, but I want to see other people too. One of my favorite authors is an author who is translated from Japanese. This is one of my favorite books of all time. Senya Murata is how you say her name. I'm probably butchering that. Now, she writes in natural Japanese, and she writes that this is just it's just so gorgeous. You can read it in like a minute. It's so fantastic. But what I love about it is it gives me a unique perspective, because obviously I haven't lived in Japan I've actually even been there. So this gives me a new perspective on the world that I didn't normally have. Another one, which I think I returned to the library, was Burnt Shadows. That was a fantastic book as well. And that gave me a whole different viewpoint on the world. And that's what I want to see. So that all to say, when I say original, I don't mean you can't do a retelling. Do a retelling, absolutely, but do it in your own voice. Make it unique. And that's the community I'm looking for. So if that's you, and you're still here after me rattling on, going, Joe, get to the tips about writing I need to get. writing. It's NaNoWriMo. Thank you for hanging out. Hit the like and subscribe so I know who you are, because I want to help you get your writing done. So then, like I said, no goal setting here, but do remember your why. Remember the people that don't have a voice. So for me, my why is I can't not write. I've heard a lot of people say this to me on my podcast recently, that if, they took away everything, I'd be, Laurie Steed said that.
It's such a volatile space that the words on the page are the only thing that don't go away, really. Like, there's so many moments as you go forth that you got to find confidence again, and you've got to find, I guess, for lack of a better word, sort of almost like the metal to go, I'm not going anywhere. Like, it doesn't really matter what you throw at me, I'll still write. So this was like my tagline when I first started writing my, not a great career bio, but my actual bio at the time was Laurie Steed is a writer, da, 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 da. If the world ended tomorrow, he'd be the one etching rocks with stories. Like, basically that I'd just keep writing. Even if the world ended, I'd be the one there writing it in the sand. On some level, that's heartening that these playhouses we build are playhouses and they will knock down. So one of the things you said that resonated with me is even that idea of success.
It's total imposter syndrome, and you both made me feel so welcome. And then over the course of the week, as you shared your journeys, and the other people in the house shared theirs as well, I realized that we're all just failing. Like, like, even like you've got a published
Yeah.
book, Rachel had a published book, you have like book deals and all these kinds of things were happening around me. Everybody else had the exact same struggles and frustrations that I had as an unpublished writer. Like, getting the book out did not change the world. And I went, oh, okay.
No.
So this is the journey of the long haul. It doesn't actually matter if I get published or not. It's just a journey. And I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think a lot of people feel that way about their job.
No,
I
I
feel
think
like
you're right.
that's
And I think you're right. It's such a calling, and it fiscally, my experience, hasn't really rewarded the amount of energy I put into it. But in
no.
terms of the actual spiritual side of it, it doesn't matter. Like, to ask a writer not to write or to not to be a writer is like asking a gecko not to be a gecko. Like, a gecko is a gecko. It's going to be a gecko.
I can't not write. And if you can't not write, you're my people. I love you. Yes. But if that's not your why, that's cool. You might have a different why. You might be passionate and know that you need to get this story out there because there are people who don't feel seen. And if that's your why, then you're my people too, and I love you. It might be a different why, and that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what your why should or shouldn't be, but know your why. That is so much more important than setting a goal. Because if you set a goal, even if you achieve it, then you're going to have to do this whole thing all over again. And because the problem with goal setting is that there's an end point. And you achieve it and then you give up. And if that's you, that's me, that's a lot of people I know. You achieve it and you give up and you quit. Or you miss your goal. You're trying to start, your goal is more of a habit and you're like, I need to write every day. And then you don't, and you think, well, I've already failed, so I might as well give up. So these don't work. But if you have your why, write it somewhere, write it on the board, write it somewhere. You know what? Instead of this, let's write it. My why. I'll tell you right now. Number one, I can't not write. Number two, give voice. Give voice and shed light on those who haven't been seen yet. And number three, you're my reason, because I want you to get your story published. And I'm doing this in a video rather than just doing it for myself because I want to see you get a story published. Now we're gonna, like, that's really deep, Joe. We're gonna go a little less deep. Now this is something that nobody talks about and nobody ever says, and I feel like it's like so important. And that is hand care. I mean, whether you write by hand or you type, you like take care of your hands, man. Like, do stretches. maybe I'll pop some stretches in my Patreon account for you guys. I love this cream, and I'm really sad I can't remember where I got it, but it's actually got it's a hemp cream, so it's got weed in it, which I find hilarious. But it actually makes my hands feel so good, like not even like just like soft, and it's not greasy at all, which is great. Because I hate it when I get like greasy on my pen or on my keyboard, because I do both. But and it also tastes terrible, so it'll help me quit biting my nails, which I'm doing a horrible job right now. But it's like they energize, like they just feel there's something really energetic about it. So whatever your hand care is, hand care, and I keep it on my desk, so I'm always doing that. That's tip number 2. Number 3, optimize your workspace. So this year I invested in a standing desk. I'm gonna put the book away. Got a little desk organizer here. This might be a good thing to do. Just grab some of these things in it that don't actually apply to me anymore. Put my stuff in there. Pencils on the shelf over here, and on my way. This is cuticle oil for my nails. Again, stop biting them. Seriously, hand care. I mean, why doesn't anybody talk about this? I mean, I see a lot of videos about people who are worried about like their face care and their routine for their makeup or whatever. I don't wear any makeup, and I'm not judging. I really don't judge. I really don't care. Reason I cut my hair and now it's growing, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep it because I have to brush it. I'm just not that kind of girl at all. So you've got like optimize your workspace and have a distraction-free zone, and that doesn't just mean the desk. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unpin things. So I did this when I went. You can watch my video how I wrote a book in a week. I'll pop it up there. But I unpinned Google Chrome from my Dropbox or my desktop. So every time I wanted to, I'm going to do it on this computer now too. So every time I wanted to do something online, I had to go and find the app, and then that kind of stops me from doing it and thus being distracted. So distraction-free zone. Another good thing is to like put your phone in another room, and you have to get up. It's really good. And having a writing ritual is really good too. So whether that's like a coffee or a cup of tea or something like that, a routine helps a lot. I mean, you know this as parents. I just got this fairy dust from Lush for my daughter, and she can like sprinkle it on her bed. It's supposed to help her sleep. It smells really nice, and it just kind of like okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm going to go to sleep. And like it just, we know that as parents. So when it's time to write, you know, like get yourself some fairy dust, if that helps. Of course, then you have to clean it. But like, my writing is gonna be good. I made myself, and you can get one of these if you want. A little bit dirty, but down looking book idea. Please wait. That made me laugh. So yeah, so I'll put a link to that below if you want one of those. But that makes me laugh. And value time. Like your time's valuable. So if it's time to write, make sure that you're writing. And you know, I'm do as I say, not as I do, because I'm currently making a video, but I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to post it like this. So please forgive me if it's a bit rough, but I'm going to actually get to writing after this. But because I'm going to value my time, and you might see that my videos are getting more raw because I need to be writing more. If you can't write, you may have heard this tip. Write anything. I love morning pages for this. This really helped me during that week that I wrote a book. Morning pages was huge, and it's something I need to get back into. Just write anything. And embrace the imperfection, especially for something like Nano. Set an intention. So my intention for Nano is to learn about writing description, and I'm really good at dialogue, and I find it really easy, and I can tell a story with just people talking, and I can do that. That's great. but I've taken a page from Hitchcock. So Hitchcock would tell a story. If you watch the beginning of Rear Window, he tells this whole story about all these characters without ever saying a word, no voiceover, nothing. And I basically want to do that. I have very pithy, opinionated narrators, but I'm going to try and tell the story. I'm going to try and let the narrator fade a little bit, not too much because that's my voice, but less exposition, more description, and try and explain the characters without giving them any words. They can have words when I come back to my first draft, but so I guess I should define a zero draft for me is sort of where I've landed with this whole pantser planner thing. So I do a little bit of planning, and I showed you that video how I did a quick outline, and then I sort of pants it to the outline. So I stick to the outline, but I sort of just write, and that is me sort of finding my way into the story. And I call that a zero draft because it's generally 40,000 to 60,000 words. And then I go back and I fill in the last 30 to 10,000 words. I suspect this one will be very short because I'm not going to allow myself any dialogue. So I will basically be writing a script treatment, and then which is what a lot of people do. If you watch Masterclass, I'll pop a link actually to get free Masterclass below because I've got a few, I believe, for the month. So I think there's 3. So grab those if you want, and watch the Duffer Brothers because they do this. They do a treatment and then they put the dialogue in after. But that's what Hitchcock did, and he actually had 2 writers to do it. He would have 2 writers do that, and it made for very visual, not very dialogue heavy. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and make not visual because it's writing, but very descriptive novel. We'll see what happens. And don't need it to be perfect at all. I'll worry about that later. All right. And write with grit. Absolutely. Just persevere. Just do it. Remember your why. Optimize your space. Don't worry about being perfect, and just do it. Even if it's horrible, just do it. Because you'll feel better. You'll know that once you get writing, you'll feel great. I promise, because of your why. Because we've already established that you have to write because of this. So you'll feel good. You'll feel so much better. Build something beautiful. If you need any additional help at all, I'm opening up my calendar, limited spaces in November because I'm going to actually write. But if you want to have a one-on-one chat, grab that link below. Also join me on Patreon. I'm going to pop in there and chat with you there and also connect with other writers. Let's build a community of people who are serious about writing and serious about getting their stories out there. I love you. Keep writing. I'll see you in the next.